The best motherboard for gaming in 2020. 1. Asus ROG Maximus Xi Extreme. The best board for a Comet Lake Core i9 and for showing off. Why you should buy this. 1. High-end performance. 2. Stunning bundle. 3. Incredible build quality. Why we picked it. If you want the best, most fully featured Intel Comet Lake motherboard, then I'm afraid you're going to have to pay for it. And pay through the nose if Asus's Z490 Maximus Xi Extreme is anything to go by. It is, as the name suggests, extreme, packing in a variety of luxurious and incredibly handy extras, and it's also one of the highest performing Z490 boards we've tested. But it only really makes sense if you're buying a K-series Core i9 and genuinely intend to overclock the nuts off it. The Max Xi will allow you to get the highest clock speed out of your 10900K and won't turn it into a pile of molten slag while you're at it. The MSI Z490 Godlike is actually the fastest Z490 outright at stock speeds, but I'd rather have the ROG board in my camp if I'm going down the AUK route. Obviously it's only for the very highest of high-end PC builds, however, as the $750 price tag means you could actually build a respectable full gaming PC for the price of this single motherboard. It's an aspirational Z490 motherboard and arguably the best gaming motherboard for Comet Lake overclocking, but I'll concede it's not a particularly realistic purchase for most of us. 2. Gigabyte Z390 Aorus Ultra. The best gaming motherboard for Intel's last-gen CPUs. Why you should buy this. 1. No compromise features, including triple M2 slots. 2. Slick RGB package with 2 LED headers. Why we picked it. Gigabyte isn't as flashy as the other top-tier motherboard makers, but it has managed to accumulate plenty of PCG recommendations over the years. Decent performance, combined with a consistently lower cost, makes Gigabyte's Z390 Aorus Ultra a winner. We've liked the Aorus branded motherboards starting with Skylake in 2016, and the company's Ryzen boards have been excellent all-around picks too, but this is the best we've tested. The Gigabyte Z390 Aorus Ultra competes with the MSI Z390 Gaming Pro Carbon AC and the Asus ROG Maximus Xi Hero, but with a lower price tag and more features. It has triple M2 slots for your super speedy NVMe SSD needs, Intel Wi-Fi WAV2 and Ethernet, a full RGB treatment with multiple headers, and ALC 1220 audio. You'd have to climb right to the top of the product stack to get the same from MSI and Asus, both of whom offer a little more polish, but also charge plenty for the privilege. Though there's a lot to be said for extreme motherboards, this is a great value Intel board. The only real downside for us is that this MOBO is perhaps a little too flashy and may not suit more restrained gaming builds. Thankfully, you can disable all the RGB bling within the BIOS if you want, though other elements may still clash. But that's a small criticism of an otherwise top board. 3. Asus ROG Maximus Xi Hero Wi-Fi. Superior last-gen Intel overclocking for enthusiasts. Why you should buy this. 1. Great CPU and memory overclocking. 2. Not too expensive for a top-tier board. Why we picked it. The Asus ROG Maximus Xi Hero is the latest in a long line of popular Republic of Gamers motherboards. While Asus offers the Code, Formula, and Apex boards as a step above the Hero, we found little reason to go with the pricier models. The minor bumps in speed, features, or fashion in costlier boards are generally difficult to justify. This is a minor chipset update to the previous Z370-based Maximus X Hero Wi-Fi, which we also liked. The current Z390 Hero adds 802.11 AC2X2 mu MIMO Wi-Fi to the networking mix. Overclocking and performance remains first in class, in league with boards costing a third more. The Maximus Xi Hero is nearly perfect, with only speedier Wi-Fi and an extra M2 slot on our short list of potential improvements. 4. Asus ROG Strix Z390i Gaming. Best for small form factor Intel 9th Gen builds. Why you should buy this. 1. Dual M2 slot. 2. Great overclocking and system performance. Why we picked it. With the price dropping and the previous Z370 based model disappearing from vendors, Asus's Strix Z390i Gaming moves into the top spot for the boutique ITX segment. Despite its diminutive size and paucity of upgrade options, the ROG Strix Z390i Gaming provides excellent performance and value. Boasting stable 5GHz overclocks using several memory speeds, including 3600 MHz with tweaking, its single PCI X16 slot pushed top-shelf graphics cards to speeds that matched or exceeded most Z390 ATX boards during testing. The smallest Strix has a lengthy features list with no shortcomings despite the tiny form factor, including dual PCI GEN3 X4 M2 slots, Intel V219 Ethernet, upgraded Intel 9562X2 802.11ac Wi-Fi, and an ALC 1220A audio codec supported by isolated circuitry and headphone amps. Despite the dense set of features, the Strix Z390i's clean design makes for quick system assembly and configuration, an important consideration for ITX rig building. Just be sure to install that bottom-mounted M2 drive beforehand, or pick a case with a big enough cutout behind the motherboard, or you'll be taking everything apart again. It's worth noting that this board can be hard to find, but the previous generation ROG Strix Z370i model, with its slimmer design, remains an excellent alternative, especially at clearance prices. 5. MSI MPG X570 Gaming Pro Carbon Wi-Fi. The best gaming motherboard for AMD Ryzen 3000 builds. Why you should buy this? 1. 2 PCI 4.0 M2 slots. 2. Wi-Fi 6 compatible. Why we picked it? The MSI MPG X570 represents an amalgamation of bleeding-edge motherboard tech, built to get the most out of AMD's 3rd-gen Ryzen CPUs. It has 4 DIMM slots that can handle speeds up to 4400 MHz and 2 M2 slots sporting support for PCI 4.0. The rear I/O panel features 7 USB-A ports for peripherals, as well as a single USB-C port for connectivity and high-speed data transfer. There are headers for the included Wi-Fi antenna to help with wireless connectivity, as well as a Gigabit Ethernet port. The MPG X570 does support Wi-Fi 6, and while that does necessitate a Wi-Fi 6 compatible router, it's backward compatible with other Wi-Fi standards and gives the potential for a speed boost down the line. Also of note is the HDMI port, which many X570 boards omit. As with most gaming motherboards, the MPG X570 has 3-zone RGB lighting, as well as enough headers for 3 additional RGB-enabled components. The pair of M2 slots each have a dedicated heat shield, and while this does help prevent potential thermal throttling, it makes installing or replacing them a more delicate process than with their exposed counterparts. The MPG X570 features enough compatibility to get the most out of your hardware now and in the future, provided you're willing to pay a premium for it. While it's certainly an excellent MOBO, if you aren't already committed to a shopping list of top-of-the-line components now or in the near future, you may want to consider a slightly less expensive board for your needs. 6. Gigabyte X470 Aorus Gaming 5 Wi-Fi. A good motherboard for last-gen AMD Ryzen builds. Why you should buy this? 1. Dual 32GB per second M2 slots. 2. Speedy Intel Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. Why we picked it? Generally speaking, if you're building a new AMD PC right now, or even replacing a motherboard in an existing PC, we recommend moving up to the X570 chipset. It supports PCI GEN4 on the latest Ryzen 3000 CPUs and typically has better RAM support. However, if you're using a previous gen CPU, you don't really need X570. There are more expensive X470 motherboards out there, including the excellent Asus ROG Crosshair Vi, but forking over the extra cash for higher-end hardware won't necessarily provide a better building or gaming experience than Gigabyte's X470 Aorus Gaming 5 Wi-Fi. This board serves up a full plate of features along with a side of RGB style for around $100 less than comparable hardware, leaving your GPU budget some room to grow. Ryzen CPUs aren't overclock happy, but the X470 Aorus Gaming 5's 8+ 3-phase VRM reliably allows chips like the 2700X to run all cores at full boost speeds alongside 3200 MHz memory modules. Dual BIOS, dual PCIe Gen 3 X4 M2 slots, and a healthy stack of both internal and external USB ports are plenty for most gaming builds. Combined with a top-tier audio codec and great networking hardware, the X470 Aorus Gaming 5 is our best overall pick for Zen and Zen Plus Ryzen 7 builds. If you're looking for more advanced features and the ability to do serious overclocking, you should probably step up to X570 and the Crosshair VE.